Welcome back to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the brewing storm in Port Charles as Britt Westbourne teeters on the edge of a monumental confession that could reshape her tangled bond with Jason Morgan. In the shadowy undercurrents of General Hospital's latest twists, whispers abound that Britt Westbourne is on the cusp of unveiling the intricate web surrounding Caesar Faison's enigmatic final project, laying bare every clandestine detail to the steadfast Jason Morgan. This revelation promises to be a pivotal moment, as Britt has long harbored these explosive secrets, which now cast a looming shadow over any chance of a genuine romantic entanglement with Jason. Picture this: Britt, the sharp-witted doctor with a notorious family legacy, has always navigated her life like a high-stakes chess game, but these hidden truths are the pawns she's reluctant to sacrifice. Her internal conflict deepens because Jason's unwavering loyalty often veers toward Carly Spencer, creating rifts that echo through their interactions, yet he's repeatedly demonstrated his reliability, from late-night rescues to quiet reassurances that Britt isn't just another mission on his list. Inventing a new layer here, imagine Britt replaying those moments in her mind: Jason's intense gaze during a stormy night drive, promising he'd never let her face the darkness alone, which chips away at her defenses and makes the idea of full disclosure feel less like betrayal and more like liberation. The foundation of any enduring partnership in the dramatic world of Port Charles demands unshakable trust, and Britt's journey toward granting Jason that faith is fraught with emotional landmines. She's no stranger to deception, having inherited her father Faison's cunning, but with Jason, the stakes feel profoundly personal, as if baring her soul could either forge an unbreakable alliance or shatter it irreparably. Delving deeper, consider how Britt's past manipulations, think her calculated alliances during medical crises at the hospital, have left her wary of vulnerability, yet Jason's no-nonsense demeanor, honed from years of mob entanglements and moral dilemmas, offers a rare anchor. He's proven his mettle time and again, like when he shielded her from prying eyes during a covert operation, whispering assurances that her burdens wouldn't crush them both. If Britt chooses to unburden herself to anyone amid this chaos, Jason is the undeniable confidant, the one whose judgment she fears yet craves, potentially turning their simmering tension into a fortress of mutual reliance. Fans of General Hospital will vividly remember the harrowing escapades that first intertwined Britt and Jason's fates at the luxurious yet perilous Five Poppies resort in Croatia, where Britt plunged headfirst into a vortex of intrigue far beyond her control. That exotic locale, with its sun-drenched terraces and hidden coves, became a powder keg of espionage and betrayal, forcing Jason to swoop in like a guardian angel amid exploding tensions, literally, as Britt narrowly escaped a devastating blast that rocked the resort's foundations. Expanding on this, envision the scene anew: Britt, disguised in elegant attire to blend with the elite guests, overhearing Faison's coded messages that hinted at a legacy project involving experimental tech and shadowy figures, only for Jason to arrive, his motorcycle roaring through the night, pulling her from the rubble just as flames licked the horizon. This rescue wasn't mere heroism, it was a turning point, forging an unspoken pact that now haunts Britt as she grapples with escalating threats back in Port Charles. Now, as the plot thickens, the cunning Jen Sidwell emerges as a formidable adversary, methodically cornering Britt and pressuring her to step into the shoes of the elusive Professor Henry "Hank" Dalton in a scheme that reeks of high-stakes deception. Sidwell, a fictional mastermind I've woven in here as a silver-tongued operative with ties to international syndicates, sees Britt's medical expertise and Faison heritage as the perfect cover, but his demands could drag her into a labyrinth of forged identities and illicit dealings that threaten to consume her. Britt's reluctance stems from a moral crossroads she's never fully navigated, weighing the allure of power against the peril to her carefully rebuilt life, and as Sidwell's grip tightens, perhaps through veiled threats delivered in dimly lit diners, Britt finds herself ensnared in a web stickier than ever. This substitution plot adds a thrilling dimension, imagining Britt poring over Dalton's cryptic journals late at night, deciphering clues that link back to her father's unfinished ambitions, all while evading Sidwell's watchful spies who lurk in the shadows of the waterfront. Complicating matters further, Rocco Falconeri, the young son of Maxie Jones and the ever-loyal Dante, could unwittingly become collateral in this unfolding crisis, prompting Britt to confront the human cost of her silence. Rocco, with his innocent charm and budding curiosity about the adult world's secrets, represents a vulnerability Britt can't ignore, especially after her role as a surrogate mother figure in Maxie's life. In a newly invented subplot, picture Rocco stumbling upon a suspicious package meant for Britt during a family outing at the park, his questions igniting her protective instincts and forcing her to realize that her choices ripple outward, endangering those she holds dear. If the situation devolves into outright pandemonium, Sidwell's plans unraveling with potential violence or betrayals, Britt might conclude that Jason's aid is futile without the full picture, leading her to a cathartic outpouring that bridges their worlds. This realization could manifest in a tense confrontation at the docks, where waves crash like her unresolved fears, pushing her toward honesty as a survival tactic. Jason, ever the pragmatic enforcer, is unlikely to endorse the quagmire Britt's entangled in, viewing it as a reckless echo of Faison's toxic influence that endangers everyone involved. His disapproval might surface in a heated exchange, his jaw set in that familiar line of frustration, questioning how she could risk so much for a ghost from her past. Yet, beneath the stern exterior, Jason's empathy runs deep. He'll grasp the nuances of Britt's predicament, recognizing the coercive forces at play and the impossible choices she's faced. Adding depth, consider Jason drawing parallels to his own entanglements with the Quartermaines or sunny Corinthos, where family legacies pulled him into moral gray areas, allowing him to offer not just protection but genuine understanding. Britt's existence has been a gauntlet of perils, from clinical trials gone awry to personal vendettas, reminding Jason that her resilience is hard-won, and he'll factor that into his response, perhaps vowing to dismantle Sidwell's network single-handedly. The resort fiasco left Britt scarred in ways that linger, her brush with explosion not just physical but a stark reminder of mortality's fragility amid the glamour. She's tethered to Faison's final project out of dire necessity, as her supply of experimental medication, tailored to halt the relentless advance of her Huntington's disease, hangs in the balance. Without precise doses, the neurological thief could resurface with vengeance, eroding her sharp mind and steady hands that define her as a surgeon. Inventing a poignant angle, envision Britt in her dimly lit apartment, staring at a vial of the serum, flashbacks to trembling episodes before treatment flooding her thoughts, underscoring how this project isn't greed but a desperate bid for normalcy. Layered atop this is her gnawing apprehension for Rocco's safety. As a web of lies tightens, any misstep could expose the boy to dangers like kidnappings or interrogations by Sidwell's henchmen, amplifying the urgency. These dual threats, personal health and surrogate family, create a pressure cooker, where the cost of secrecy outweighs the fear of exposure. Undeterred by the risks, Britt might steel herself to reveal the full scope of Faison's project to Jason, including the haunting revelations tied to her late brother, Nathan West. Nathan's memory looms large, a spectral thread in this narrative, with the project possibly harboring clues to his untimely demise or unresolved mysteries that Britt has pieced together through fragmented files. In an expanded vision, she could describe to Jason a hidden compartment in Faison's old safe, containing letters from Nathan hinting at a redemption arc cut short, blending grief with intrigue. Britt's silence can't endure forever. The weight of it erodes her from within, much like the disease she battles, so expect Jason to absorb a torrent of staggering disclosures, perhaps blueprints for a device that manipulates memories or uncovers corporate espionage. This floodgate moment, set against the backdrop of a rain-swept Quartermaine estate, could illuminate connections to broader Port Charles conspiracies, leaving Jason reeling yet resolute. Ultimately, General Hospital spoilers tease that this bold act of vulnerability might catalyze a profound shift, drawing Jason and Britt into uncharted emotional territory and fortifying their alliance against the encroaching shadows. As they navigate the fallout, their partnership could evolve from cautious flirtation to a dynamic force, with Jason's protectiveness intertwining with Britt's intellect in ways that electrify the screen. Next, we will learn about the explosive truth that's shaking up Port Charles. Veronica Ronnie Bard, the enigmatic newcomer, is no innocent bystander but a cunning con artist recruited by the vengeful Marty Gray to deliver a devastating blow to the indomitable Tracy Quartermaine. In a town where secrets fester like old wounds, Marty's long-simmering grudge against Tracy has finally erupted into a calculated scheme that's ensnaring key players and threatening to unravel the Quartermaine legacy. As Ronnie's facade begins to crack under the weight of her deception, whispers among the elite circles of Port Charles suggest her time in the spotlight is fleeting, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation that could either redeem her soul or seal her downfall. Fans are buzzing with anticipation over how this intricate web of betrayal will play out, especially as Marty's manipulations pull in unwitting allies like Drew Kane, turning personal vendettas into a full-blown family feud. Diving deeper into the shadows of Port Charles's turbulent history, Marty's quest for retribution traces back to a betrayal that scarred him deeply, fueling a fire that's burned quietly for decades. Long before his recent return to the canvas, Tracy's insatiable meddling torpedoed what could have been a passionate future for Marty and the fiery Lucy Coe, whose whirlwind romance was the talk of the town in its heyday. Picture this: stolen glances across lavish galas, whispered promises under the stars at the Metro Court, and a bond that seemed unbreakable until Tracy, ever the puppet master of scandal, leaked compromising details that led Marty to discover Lucy entangled in a compromising moment with the slick Scott Baldwin. That moment wasn't just a breakup, it shattered Marty's trust in love and loyalty, leaving him adrift in a sea of resentment that he's now channeling into this elaborate payback. For longtime viewers, this chapter feels like a delicious callback to the glory days of GH intrigue, where alliances shifted faster than tides, but for Marty, it's a raw nerve that's never healed. Tracy's constant interference, from corporate sabotage to social sabotage, has kept him simmering. Adding fuel to the speculation, some eagle-eyed fans have noted subtle on-screen tension between Marty and Tracy during recent boardroom clashes, hinting at an undercurrent of forbidden attraction that could twist their enmity into something far more volatile. Imagine the drama if Marty's revenge plot inadvertently reignites that spark, forcing Tracy to confront not just his schemes but her own lingering regrets from their shared past. This backstory isn't merely exposition, it's the emotional bedrock of Marty's character arc, illustrating how old wounds can fester into modern-day mayhem, and how Port Charles's elite never truly escape their histories. Yet, amid the brewing storm, Ronnie's presence in this saga is as temporary as a summer fling, a short-term whirlwind designed to upend lives before vanishing into the ether. Portrayed by the legendary Renee Slezak, whose hiatus from the screen has only amplified her allure, Ronnie brings a layer of sophisticated duplicity that's captivated audiences since her debut. She's not settling roots in Port Charles, no sprawling Quartermaine mansion or corner office for her, but rather executing a hit-and-run con that aligns perfectly with her retired con artist's ethos. Sources close to the production indicate her arc wraps in the coming weeks, allowing Slezak to return to her well-deserved downtime while leaving fans to ponder the void she'll create. In her brief tenure, Ronnie has masterfully posed as a sympathetic estate agent, but cracks are showing. Her hesitant glances during tense negotiations, the way her voice wavers when discussing ethics, all point to an internal conflict that's ripe for explosion. Inventing a new twist here, what if Ronnie's discomfort stems from a hidden personal connection to the Quartermaines, perhaps a long-lost relative or a past favor Monica once granted her, that makes betraying them feel like a personal betrayal? This added depth humanizes her beyond the stereotypical grifter, transforming her into a tragic figure torn between lucrative deception and moral redemption. As she navigates these choppy waters, Ronnie's exit strategy could involve a hasty departure to an undisclosed European hideaway, but not before dropping bombshells that echo through the halls of the Q mansion. Her impermanence underscores a key GH theme. In Port Charles, even the most disruptive forces are transient, but the ripples they leave behind can reshape dynasties forever. Central to this unfolding drama is Ronnie's pivotal move, facilitating the sale of the iconic Quartermaine estate to Drew Kane, a transaction that sent shockwaves through Tracy's carefully guarded empire and ignited her legendary paranoia. On the surface, it appears as a straightforward real estate deal. Drew, ever the opportunist, swoops in with a compelling offer that Ronnie enthusiastically endorses, but beneath the paperwork lies Marty's invisible hand, orchestrating every clause to maximize Tracy's humiliation. Tracy, with her razor-sharp instincts honed from decades of boardroom battles, has been piecing together inconsistencies: Ronnie's overly eager demeanor, the suspiciously timed documents, and Drew's sudden windfall that funds the purchase. Now, she's zeroing in on a chilling possibility, that Ronnie and Drew have been colluding from the start, a duo united in undercutting her influence. But is Marty's blueprint limited to targeting Tracy, or does it extend to sabotaging Drew as well, perhaps by planting seeds of doubt that could fracture his budding alliances within the family? To enrich this narrative, consider an invented subplot where Ronnie uncovers a hidden clause in the estate's deed, one that ties back to Edward Quartermaine's original bequest, potentially voiding the sale and exposing the forgery. Tracy's response has been a masterclass in Quartermaine tenacity: late-night strategy sessions with Ned, covert surveillance on Ronnie's movements, and even enlisting Brooke Lynn's tech savvy to hack into digital trails. This sale isn't just about property, it's symbolic warfare, stripping Tracy of a tangible piece of her heritage while Marty watches from the sidelines, savoring every moment of her unraveling composure. As suspicions mount, the air in Port Charles thickens with betrayal, reminding us how real estate in this town often serves as the battleground for deeper emotional conquests. Ultimately, as the dust settles on this revenge-fueled fiasco, the burning question looms: who emerges victorious from the chaos, and at what cost to the fractured souls of Port Charles? Drew remains blissfully ignorant, basking in what he perceives as a legitimate coup, crediting Ronnie's change of heart to his persuasive charm rather than Marty's shadowy interventions. Marty, the unseen architect, pulls strings with surgical precision, forged signatures, timed leaks, and whispered influences, ensuring his involvement stays buried deep. His endgame appears multifaceted: not only to deprive Tracy of her prized assets but to funnel them directly into the grasp of Drew, the man she views as an interloper tarnishing the Quartermaine name. Yet, deeper analysis reveals a more insidious layer. Marty might be engineering a rift between Tracy and Drew, pitting them against each other in a proxy war that erodes the family's unity from within, much like the corporate takeovers that defined ELQ's turbulent history. Ronnie's growing unease adds a wildcard element. Her fidgety confessions during solitary moments suggest she's on the verge of a cathartic breakdown, potentially unraveling the entire plot by revealing how she infiltrated the scene and tampered with Monica Quartermaine's will under duress. Would she finger Marty as the mastermind, exposing his vendetta in a tearful courtroom testimony, or has he anticipated this with a contingency plan, like shifting blame onto Drew through planted evidence of collusion? Envision a heightened scenario where Ronnie's guilt propels her to ally with an unexpected figure, say, a remorseful Lucy Coe, who senses Marty's darkening path and intervenes to save him from self-destruction. This could cascade into a multi-episode arc involving police interrogations, family interventions, and even a surprise Quartermaine summit to reclaim the estate. In the grand tapestry of General Hospital, victories here are Pyrrhic at best. Marty's revenge might satisfy his ego temporarily, but it risks isolating him further, while Tracy's resilience could forge unlikely bonds, turning adversaries into reluctant confidants. Next, we will learn about the gripping drama surrounding Willow Tate's potential shift from the harsh confines of Pentonville to the more introspective halls of Ferncliff, a move that could redefine her entire arc in Port Charles. In the ever-twisting world of General Hospital, whispers of a dramatic transfer for Willow Tate are gaining momentum, as her mental fragility comes under intense scrutiny amid escalating legal battles. Originally sentenced to Pentonville for her role in the shocking shooting of Drew Kane, Willow's narrative is poised for a pivotal pivot, potentially landing her in Ferncliff's specialized care unit designed for those grappling with psychological turmoil. This isn't merely a logistical change, it's a storyline catalyst that could unearth buried traumas from Willow's fractured past, including her early days as a con artist entangled in Nina Reeves' web of secrets. Fans speculate that this relocation might stem from a courtroom revelation where Willow's attorney, Alexis Davis, unveils evidence of her client's spiraling mental health decline, triggered by the relentless pressures of family betrayals and personal losses. Such a transfer wouldn't just alter Willow's immediate fate but could ripple through the Corinthos clan, forcing Michael to confront his own complicity in her downfall and perhaps sparking a chain of alliances or enmities that reshape alliances in Port Charles society. At the heart of Willow's defense lies a bold proclamation. She insists that Michael Corinthos orchestrated the entire setup, framing her for the attempt on Drew's life to sever ties and protect his own interests in the volatile Quartermaine empire. This claim paints Willow not as a cold-blooded assailant but as a pawn in a larger game of corporate intrigue and familial vendettas, where Michael's protective instincts morphed into something far more manipulative. Delving deeper, one can analyze how this accusation ties into Willow's history of resilience. Remember her time undercover as a teacher at Dawn of Day, where she first crossed paths with Shiloh's cultish influence, honing a survival instinct that now turns accusatory. If Willow's story holds water, and early spoilers hint at forensic evidence surfacing that questions the ballistics report, it could exonerate her from the shooting charge, shifting focus to Michael's ethical lapses and potentially drawing in Jason Morgan for a tense interrogation scene that exposes old loyalties. Yet, beneath this veneer of victimhood, Willow's character reveals layers of complexity. She's no wide-eyed novice in deception, having navigated the murky waters of identity swaps and hidden pregnancies that tested her moral compass time and again. Harrison Chase, ever the principal detective, views Willow through a lens of vulnerability, convinced she requires shielding from the world's cruelties rather than judgment for her missteps. This perception clashes sharply with the reality of Willow's actions, as evidenced by her calculated involvement in the stalking ordeal that plagued Daisy Gilmore, where subtle manipulation sowed seeds of terror without direct confrontation. Chase's reluctance to accept Michael's warnings about Willow's culpability stems from his own romantic entanglements and a chivalrous blind spot, but dedicated viewers recall the chilling moments when Willow's expressions betrayed a flicker of intent during Daisy's harassment episodes, moments that Chase conveniently overlooks in his pursuit of justice. Expanding on this dynamic, imagine a future episode where Chase uncovers a hidden diary entry from Willow, detailing her resentments toward Sasha's seemingly perfect life, adding a psychological depth that forces him to re-evaluate his protective stance and perhaps align with Michael in a reluctant partnership to unravel the truth. Michael's attempts to sway Chase falter not from lack of evidence but from the detective's unwavering faith in Willow's redemption potential, a belief rooted in shared glimpses of vulnerability during hospital vigils for Wiley. Despite Michael's insistence, backed by timeline discrepancies in the stalking incidents, Chase dismisses it as biased paranoia, unaware that surveillance footage from the Metro Court could soon surface, corroborating Michael's narrative and igniting a rift between the two men that echoes classic GH buddy cop tensions. For the audience, the truth is indelibly etched from those on-screen sequences where Willow's shadow loomed over Daisy's distress calls, her motives intertwined with jealousy over Sasha's bond with Brando and the stability Willow craved but couldn't grasp. This viewer insight adds a meta-layer to the drama, as if the showrunners are inviting speculation on Willow's descent, perhaps foreshadowing a confession scene laced with regret that humanizes her without absolving the harm inflicted. Even should Willow emerge unscathed from the Drew Kane scrutiny, the shadows of her deeds against Sasha Gilmore Corbin and Daisy demand reckoning, underscoring that justice in Port Charles rarely confines itself to a single incident. Willow's indirect role in terrorizing Daisy, through anonymous threats and orchestrated scares, didn't imperil the child physically, yet it eroded Sasha's sense of security to the point of her abrupt departure, leaving a void in the community and straining ties with the Corbin family. To enrich this thread, consider how Willow's actions might stem from a suppressed postpartum echo from her own motherhood struggles, a invented psychological tie-in where therapy sessions later reveal envy-fueled outbursts disguised as concern. Sasha's flight to an undisclosed haven, possibly reconnecting with old flames like Cody Bellamy, highlights the long-term fallout, with spoilers teasing her potential return armed with vengeance that could drag Willow back into the spotlight during a tense reunion at the Floating Rib. Plea bargains and insanity pleas loom as viable escapes if the Drew verdict sours, with Willow potentially bartering reduced time in exchange for testimony against Michael's schemes, a twist that would fracture their co-parenting dynamic irreparably. Alexis Davis, with her storied history of navigating mental health defenses, from her own battles to Christina's arcs, might pivot aggressively, citing Willow's erratic behavior patterns, including blackouts during key events, as grounds for Ferncliff commitment over incarceration. This strategic shift could introduce new elements like expert witnesses from Shady Brook, testifying to Willow's dissociative tendencies exacerbated by the stress of hiding her Nellie connection, providing a forensic psychology angle that delves into the blurred lines between guilt and illness in soap lore. Willow's evolution from a steadfast nurse and devoted partner to a figure ensnared by darker impulses marks a profound character overhaul, one that mirrors the show's penchant for redemption cycles yet demands authentic introspection to avoid caricature. Once the epitome of quiet strength supporting Carly through crises, Willow's recent choices reflect a erosion influenced by isolation and unspoken grief over losing harmony with Michael, a transformation that analysts might link to broader themes of identity loss in high-stakes environments like Port Charles. Optimism lingers for a return to her core essence, the empathetic soul who bonded with T.J. Ashford over shared vulnerabilities, provided the narrative allows space for growth beyond mere plot convenience, perhaps through mentorship from figures like Epiphany Johnson in flashback sequences that reinforce her foundational goodness. A therapeutic interlude at Ferncliff promises not just containment but genuine healing, where structured counseling could dismantle the barriers Willow erected against her vulnerabilities, fostering the nurturing presence Wiley and Amelia deserve amid their disrupted family unit. Envision sessions uncovering repressed memories of her adoption saga, blending with current stressors to craft a holistic recovery plan that includes art therapy inspired by Port Charles landmarks, adding a creative, inventive layer to her rehabilitation. This environment, far removed from Pentonville's rigidity, might catalyze breakthroughs, enabling Willow to rebuild trust with her children through supervised visits that evolve into heartfelt milestones, ultimately positioning her as a pillar rather than a peril in their lives. Reconciliation with Michael, though fraught, isn't implausible. Their shared history of passion, from clandestine meetings in the Quartermaine boathouse to vows exchanged under duress, forms a resilient foundation that therapy could fortify against past betrayals. Spoilers hint at tentative overtures, like Michael delivering care packages to Ferncliff laced with mementos from Wiley's milestones, scenes that could culminate in a charged confrontation where apologies pave the way for co-parenting harmony. Yet, Willow must first navigate her solitary path to stability, shedding the cycles of deception that once defined her, before any romantic rekindling takes root in the fertile ground of forgiveness. As General Hospital teases Willow's trajectory, vigilance is key. Upcoming episodes may unveil alliances with unlikely confidants like Ava Jerome, who recognizes her own redemption struggles, or conflicts with Nina that expose lingering resentments. This multifaceted journey underscores the soap's enduring appeal, characters who falter but fight to rise, ensuring Willow's saga remains a compelling watch for devotees craving depth amid the drama.